So, I'd like to share with you a story about a Hoodoo Midwestern lore, which unfolds an understanding of how the Great Migration of African Americans spread Hoodoo from the South of the United States to the North. The culture traveled with the African Americans, spreading more awareness. Now, this story is called How Hoodoo Lost Its Hand, and it's actually told by J.D. Suggs, guitarist and folk singer who spread the stories of the quote unquote folk. Now, I will read the story in a way that he tells it, with African American vernacular and all. In addition to that, one thing to note historically is that some of the tales came to be via exhorts, which are people who would explain stories of the Bible in their own way, making it indicatively hoodoo, as the exhorts will use these stories as reasons why things are a certain way. Now, this story also explains the understanding of the Bible by African Americans and the birthing of tales with biblical context, okay? These tales are interwoven in a belief system of hoodoo based on societal hoodoo logic, and you will see that in a lot of our of hoodoo tales. I've always said that it's not possible to understand hoodoo and omit the tales that explains the beliefs of those who were where hoodoo comes from. You know, um, the tales of hoodoo expresses the life and the understanding of the African American, how the African American became to be, and also the spiritual awareness. Um, the tales of hoodoo expresses the spirits, and speaks of how the spirits are understood in hoodoo. You know, Now, getting back to the story, so, the description of the story explains how the Old Testament of Moses in Pharaoh's court is understood in the quote unquote hand is the object that gives a person power. And this is via based off of the text Exodus 7 through 10. Okay, so the story goes as follows. Remember, I'm going to tell it in a way that Mr. Suggs told it. The Israelites was captured and carried down in bondage under Egypt, and Moses was born there. And they was killing all the males to keep the Hebrew children from multiplying so fast. And when Moses was born, his mother kept him hid 3 months. Then, when she could keep him hid no longer, she made a basket of bulrushes and slime. And she carried him down and put him in a river, for Pharaoh's daughter went down to bathe. When they seen him, he was a fine Egyptian boy. Then the daughter carried him to the king, Pharaoh, and begged her daddy to let her keep him and adopt him. So he agreed, and he said, "Go out and find you a nurse, an Israelite woman, for they know how to take care of this baby." So she goes out and hires an Israelite woman who was his mother. So he waxed and grew up fast and learned all the Egyptian words and languages. So Pharaoh made him a ruler then, when he seed how smart he was. So one day he walked out and he sees an Hebrew and an Egyptian fighting. So he killed the Egyptian, looked all around and see nobody, and buried him in the sand. A couple of days after, he went out and he see two Hebrewites fighting. He said, "Why you all strive against one another and seize brothers?" One said, "You want to kill one of us? like you did that Egyptian the other day? So Moses got scared and ran away and submitted. He stayed there 40 years and married his Ethiopian woman, which is a colored woman. One day, he was out minding his father in law's sheep, and the Lord spoke to Moses and said, "Pull off your shoes, for you is on holy ground. I want you to go back and deliver my children from Egypt." He said, "Moses, what is that you got in your hand?" Moses said, "It's a staff." He said, "Cast it on the ground." And it turned into a snake. Then Moses fled from it. The Lord said, "Go back and pick it up." Moses picked it up and turned it back into a staff. The Lord said, "Go back and wrought all the miracles in Egypt and deliver my children from bondage." So Moses goes back. He goes in to Pharaoh and told him what the Lord had told him to do. Pharaoh said, "Who is he? I can show you what he got power to do." And he cast his rod on the floor and he turned it into a serpent. Pharaoh said, "That ain't nothing. I got a magician that can do that." So he brought his magicians and soothsayers in, and they cast the rods on the floor. So theirs turned into snakes. And they all crawled up Moses' snake. And Moses' snake swallowed up their snake. And that's where Hoodoo lost his hand, because theirs was evil power and his was good. They lost their rods, and he had his and theirs too. And so that's the story. Within the story, you understand that hand and what a hand is according to the logic of the practitioner of hoodoo. A hand is something that gives assistance. It is a tool that gives assistance to the person or the practitioner. And so this can also include mojo bags, gree. It can include many different talismans, and even in this case, a staff. And so, with stories like this, it gives you a little bit more awareness of what hands can actually be. A hand is any object that can help assist the person. It can be money that has been worked, it can be even a ring. And as I said before, the example here is a staff. Well, anyways, I hope you like this story. There's more to come. I will be giving more hoodoo stories. I will be talking about hoodoo spirits. But this is one particular story that even talks about the aspect and the place where Moses is in hoodoo. According to hoodoo, in hoodoo lore, Moses is actually considered to be a conjure man who can turn things from one thing to another, who can transform and transmute. Um, Another conjure man is actually considered to be Jesus. The way that the hoodoo people or the conjure people root work, view the biblical figures, they view them in a very unique and different way, based off of their character and what they can do, as it resonates with what hoodoo people do within their work. But anyways, until next time, I'll talk to you later.